welcome to the show. I'm Alex. This is Spencer. Welcome to Life for Dad.
Yeah, we'll do like an NPR kind of intro to the show.
I was just like, we just spent like 20 minutes before the show talking about bullshit, like laughing, and then I like the idea of us clicking the record button. I'm just like, welcome to the show.
Yeah, like it would be like the reverse of what you think of like a normal like a Hollywood guy, where they're talking before the camera starts rolling. They're like, "Hey, how's it go? How's the family? Everything good? Everything good? Cool, 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 cool." Cool. Then the camera turns on. They go, "Hey, how's it going? We're here in 99.3." I guess the radio, but still, like, welcome to Planet Hollywood. And then they just start talking. Yeah, we'll be the reverse of that. We just completely lose all energy when the camera turns on.
Yeah, welcome to the show. No, dude, I want to be inverse James Corden. I want to be a really nice dude off camera, and then just a fucking prick on camera, just like a total asshole.
James Corden, is he that fat guy?
Yeah, he's the one that was like a host for a little bit.
Well, did he do the karaoke?
Yeah, the carpool karaoke thing.
Okay,
yeah,
is he a big douchebag?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's awful. Yeah, like he's like one of those people that like it was like throughout his career, because he came over from England, and also he had issues in England. He fucking got into an argument with Pat. Yeah, like publicly, like as a celebrity. Wow. So when he came here, he had like a second win, like he had a second chance, and he blew it here as well. But I mean, dude, like got on. There's a famous award ceremony like that he did over in Europe with what's his name, Dr. Xavier. Who the fuck played it?
Patrick Stewart.
Patrick Stewart, thank you. Where Patrick Stewart like called him out for something on stage that like I think he was being rude or something, and they just get into it on stage.
I remember that,
yeah. And so like he was already kind of a douchebag over there, and he was getting called out for it. So when he came over here as like a host, he had like a second chance to like not fuck it up, and he couldn't do that. It just became worse over here.
Man, I swear, if you're a piece of shit in England, like those are like the shittiest human beings alive. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You can't be a piece of shit. Like the people that come out of England, the biggest name to come out of England is Ricky Gervais. I love Ricky
Gervais,
which I love. I love him. But that's kind of his shtick, is he's a big piece of shit. Like in everything he ever does.
Oh yeah,
that's his deal. If you're looked at as a piece of shit in England, and people don't like you, like, you got to be one huge turd. That's crazy. That's insane.
So yeah, or like. I guess now it could be inverse Ellen, because that turns out that was Ellen, right? She fooled everybody for years thinking she was like a happy person, and then it turns out she was also like a piece of shit. She like abused her staff and stuff.
I was telling this to my fiance. I will never be surprised at how ignorant this country is when they look at celebrities. Like everyone just thinks celebrities are these great people until something happens. Like no.
Oh yeah,
they're all terrible people. Like they're all awful. We're just like waiting for it to come out, and the fact that they haven't come out is probably because they have some deal in the back that's going to make somebody money. But they're all human traffickers. Like that. It's shocking to me that they.
I don't know if you should put such a blanket statement over every celebrity.
True. look at everything that's come out. They're all. It's like man, what a good guy until 2017.
We have breaking news. It turns out Elijah Wood has eaten 3 children.
Probably. He probably has. I mean, look at like these like child stars. They all look all deformed when they get out of, because they're given all these chemicals. Where
child celebrities are like a whole different ball game. That's like a whole different breed of human, right?
Almost literally.
if you're raised as a child celebrity, your future's fucked, man.
Oh yeah,
your future is done. I saw a thing the other day where goddamn, I can't remember names today. Sixth Sense kid.
Oh God, Haley Joel Osment.
Sora. Yes. Where he like the other day I saw a thing where he got arrested for like cocaine possession and stuff. It's like,
well,
yep.
How about that he got arrested for cocaine possession? Meanwhile, his head looks like a balloon. His head looks like somebody just drew a face on a damn balloon. He looks terrifying. What happened?
No, yeah, he looks like he belongs on that Airhead package. You know, you're seeing
Yeah,
the, like, the Airheads package with the, like,
yeah.
balloon cat guy? Yeah,
He's
it's like
not a
that.
he's not a human. He's not a human. Like they're like all these people that come out of this. Like Zach Efron is not a human being. Like they're not people. I don't know what happened, but they're not human beings anymore. It's so bizarre. Like when people think of like healthy child stars, they think of Macaulay Culkin. The guy looks like a crypt
Oh my
keeper.
god.
They're
Yeah.
just all a mess. They're just terrible.
There's that video from, like, 2017 of Lindsay Lohan, like, trying to kidnap a kid on the street or something, like a homeless kid. It was
What?
yeah, it was like a yeah. You never seen that? It was like she was, like, high as fuck. There was, like, a homeless lady and her kids on the street, and Lindsay Lohan was trying to, like I guess in her high mind, she was trying to, like, adopt this kid and take care of it, but she was, like, kidnapping a kid from its mother off of
Oh,
the street and being
hell
like,
yeah.
it's okay," and then the mom's like,
No,
"Damn
no, it's not. It's not
it!"
okay, Lindsay.
Anyway, hey, remember the LF or Dead? Remember
Oh yeah, I rem-
that? We're in the episode, Spencer.
oh I clicked record. What? Oh, everything I said in the last 10 minutes is just disregard. Those are
Yeah, the
those are
episode
not
starts here.
okay. We'll put a little notation.
Yeah. Welcome to the episode today. We are remembering Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2. We're remembering the Left 4 Dead franchise. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
Because they had two games and yeah, they came out like exactly a year apart, and they're kind of the same game. Like they're just kind of like part of the same. Like they're kind of one whole. You know,
yeah,
I feel. So we're just gonna talk about it, and we felt like doing something like this. This kind of came about because I originally wanted to do something else of this era, I guess, which was going to be Halo 2. But we didn't, right now, we didn't have the means to really play that co op, and we wanted to do something we could do co op instead. So we're doing Left 4 Dead.
yeah. Potentially better than Halo 2 co-op. I don't know. That'd be an
Maybe.
interesting
I don't know.
comparison. They're different
Halo 2
games,
is
but
pretty damn good.
yeah, no, and that's no short change to Halo 2. I'm just saying, like, Left 4 Dead is one of those like definitive co-op shooter experiences. It's up there with it,
Yeah.
if not as better, if not better than Halo 2. It's on that same level of like legendary co-op games to play.
I'm fairly certain there's been multiple times, like if you were to listen to this podcast since its inception in 2019, there's multiple points throughout this podcast where I know I have said Left 4 Dead is like one of the greatest zombie games of all time.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
you know,
It's
yeah.
maybe the
And I
purest.
still,
It's
yes,
the purity of this game is like it's like almost like a Souls game where it's like stripping out all gaming's bullshit and just giving you like a straight package of what you expect and what you want. That's what like Left 4 Dead is for the shooter genre. Like there's no like here's a like how do we integrate cutscenes into the game? Oh, let's like make the camera like make your perspective force to this and then do this and then now it's like oh it's like that. And there's no like okay, let's put a marker on their HUD. I'm like where's this
yeah.
all that shit is
Don't
stripped
forget
out.
to grind up your Glemium loot boxes every day
Yeah.
to get the new skin for your rifle.
100%. It's so pure. It's just you and three other people plopped into a zombie apocalypse, get from point A to point B, go. It's just that. It's
Yeah,
just that, and it's great.
and yeah, and like I there's not really like a plot or like there are characters and there are like things happening in the game, but
Yeah,
there's not like there's nothing beyond that per se. Like there's the characters have fun dialogue and like you do have fun scenarios you play through, but that's it.
yeah,
Like the game understands that like you as a video game player, you the gamer, already have probably interacted with so many different types of zombie media by this point. You don't need a
Mhm.
backstory to this, to what's happening. You don't need some science corporation unleashing the zombies or anything like that, or really a narrative. What you are here to do,
Yeah.
you are here to shoot zombies and survive.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it.
We're not asking anything else of you. It's not like this ain't no social experiment. This isn't like maybe the humans are bad. No, no, no. The zombies are bad and they're going to kill you. That's the game. And there's like hundreds of them. So like go nuts.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I'm happy to be doing this episode.
Yeah.
This is one that I hope this leads to us doing some more. I mean, granted, there's a very limited amount of them because they stopped quickly. But doing more of the games published and developed by Valve, uh, because along with Left 4 Dead, I honestly think like they're basically their entire catalog, with a few games that I didn't really play that much of because they're multiplayer games. But basically, their entire catalog are fucking great. Like
Like Half-Life.
they're like some of the best games ever made. Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's like
Well,
god
Half-Life
damn
Half-Life
it.
itself is responsible for so much in gaming. It's absurd. If you really like DNA
And
wise.
literally every other Valve property, it just came from Half Life.
Right.
And then it's just like Portal came from Half Life. Left Team
Do
Fortress, Counter Strike came from Half Life. Left 4 Dead came from Half
well, in
Life.
Counter Strike isn't even a Valve property, right? Isn't Counter Strike
Yeah, no, it
somebody
is.
made a mod out of it? And then
I believe Valve owns Counter Strike though.
well, now I'm sure they bought it, but I thought that the original
But
Counter
yeah,
Strike
no,
was made outside.
yeah, it was the original was, and then Valve picked it up. But
Yeah.
it was spawned from Half Life,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
So
yeah.
essentially, Half Life is if you, it's like one of those rare things. The other game that I think of that did that was Warcraft 3. A lot of
Mm.
because of their toolkit, a lot of like game like MOBAs and tower defenses all kind of came from. I think tower defenses might have come earlier, but still, it basically traces back to like a Warcraft mod. Um, but Valve is the same way where like the Half Life was so good that it literally like Counter Strike came from which is like a whole genre now of like Twitch, Twitch shooter. Um, you could argue, and then Team Fortress, like you said, that's I mean, hero shooters now are just like the rage. So like yeah, like we should probably do Half Life at some point. That would be, and then obviously Half Life 2. That would be an episode. Obviously, we're talking about Left 4 Dead, but Valve in and of itself should be celebrated as just this huge, like ironically, right? Because when you think of Valve in 2025, you're just really thinking Steam. And for a long time, I think we all just thought of Steam, but they were actually like a legitimately great innovative gaming company that made games.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If I had like Alex's top 20 games of all time list, Left 4 Dead, which I count 1 and 2 together, Left 4 Dead, Portal 2, and Half Life 2 would all three would be on there for sure.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I think those are some of the greatest games ever made. It's insane to me that like you can go from they can go from making, again, it's like some of the greatest games ever made to nothing. They make nothing
It's
now.
bizarre.
They,
It's very bizarre.
like it just seems like they were on like such a road for that's a whole episode of it itself, like what happened to Valve, because like they were on such a road of success when it comes to like their game publishing and their game creation, and then they just veered entirely.
Well, I hate to sound like Terry, and I'm going to give Terry some credit because I know he pushes for the generation of PS2 era and maybe a little bit of um, Xbox 360 era, PS3, GameCube, or no, probably doesn't like the Wii.
We
I'm gonna guess he doesn't like the Wii, but um, that that
no,
general that general era, like
Terry,
PS Taui likes PS2 and etc. But I think the PS2 era is the last era, maybe the 360 era, but I have my complaints about that era. But I think in that general timeline, those games were, let's push gaming to see how we can push gaming. And
Mhm.
I think this is kind of part of that push. And then at some point after that, it turned into, how can we push gaming to be monetized?
Yeah.
And I think that's where,
We like
I'm not going to say that
money.
games got terrible, because I don't think that's true. But there was like a different kind of innovation after that. And it was more about how do you monetize versus how do you make a great game. And I think if you follow Valve's trajectory, that's kind of what they were doing, where it's like, for a time they were making these amazing games, and now if you look at like the last releases of Valve, it's like, here's a card game that you have to subscribe to or whatever.
I know some of that did leak into the like the PS3 360 era. I still don't think of that era having as much of it though. You know what moment in gaming history I think of like really being like the okay that started here moment
Oblivion
is
Horse.
that like no, not Oblivion Horse after later than that. Because like I said, I don't think the 360 PS3 were as bad as people like to make them out to be when it comes
Mhm.
to that stuff. They did have DLC and stuff, but it's not as bad.
Right, right.
You know, usually like you buy like a map pack or a character or something. That was fine. Like you still got game. Like, yeah, like there were some instances of like on disc DLC. I think that was a big thing at that time. But the moment that the flag was in the ground that this shit it was going too far was that Xbox One, that first reveal of Xbox One, whenever they had the interview with Don Matrick after the reveal, which he was like the guy at the time for for Xbox, and they were like they asked him, I was like, okay, so what if somebody doesn't have good internet and wants to play Xbox One, and they're like, well, we have an offline console they can buy. It's called the Xbox 360, and it was like the most tone deaf
Yeah.
response ever. And it was like, okay, this is the moment that shit is going too far because it's like
Yeah.
you're just like, well, fuck you.
Those three letters that I'm sure Microsoft, that there's like a poster on the wall that says, "Never put these three letters together, DRM." Just
Yeah, never say this again.
never mention it ever again, because
It sunk an entire generation for them.
yes. No, you're right. You're right. It was around then that it was like, they're not, because now everyone's like, how do we create a game where we can make endless buckets of money? That's kind of the innovative part now, as opposed to back in like PS2 era. It was, how do we like innovate to make gaming great, like push gaming forward. I think. I mean, obviously, people from different generations probably have different opinions, but to me, that's kind of the point where it pivoted, somewhere in that like PS2, PS3 era. Yeah.
You're right. So today we're gonna talk about Left 4 Dead. And I guess before we hop into the development and the games, it'll be a good thing to do that we do. That's right. I get distracted by something. I was like on track and I got distracted, but I got like a text message on my phone. I looked over and I was like, "What the fuck?"
Arby's two
Spencer,
for one.
it's Arby's 2 for 1 coupon fish sandwich. Okay, I'll see
Hold
you
on.
later.
Hold on. Pause. Pause. Time out.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! All right, Spencer, what was your first experience with Left 4 Dead?
Me and the boys on Steam. I have never played this on console. I know that the orange box was the thing. Never really crossed me. I was always just playing this game with friends who'd be like randomly like, "Let's play Left 4 Dead." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's go on." And I've had groups of 4. I've had groups obviously of 2, and I've had groups of 3. Just I don't even know if we ever beat it. Just like for 3 hours, it's like, let's just play Left 4 Dead, and we go, cool, great time. That's all it's ever been for me, is basically just a great time to hang out, because it's just fun and engaging. I don't remember the first time I played it. Had to have been around 2009, 2008 or something, whenever. But just, yeah, put it on PC and just played it. What about
Okay.
you?
So there was a time, and I'm kind of nostalgic for this time, especially now. There was a time like the internet still existed around 2007, 2008, 2009, but that was also the time like smartphones were really starting to like take off, and not everybody had a smartphone. Really, like if you wanted to like go on the internet, you had to like sit down on like a desktop computer and actually like go and Google something,
Mhm.
and like look up things.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have all information streamed straight to your fucking face at all times, and that was something that like at the time was like, wouldn't it be cool if I knew everything about everything? And now it's like a game. Now it feels like a game comes out, right? And it's like, oh, I know everything about the game before it releases, and two weeks after it comes out, nobody cares anymore. Like that's sort of like how it feels now to me. There was a time before this where a game came out, and not everybody had access to like the internet. Sometimes you would only see it in like through a monthly magazine or something, and
Yeah.
the game's lifespans felt longer, right? It felt like a game would come out in 1 year and it would still feel new to you for like another year, you know. And that's sort of how this was with me. I didn't play this until I think 2008. I went over to a friend's house. I didn't have a 360 yet. I wouldn't get a 360 until 2010, I believe, around there, or maybe nine, I forget. But getting a console back then was a big deal for me. It was like basically it was only like on Christmas that I could get something like that because they're so expensive. So it was at the time, I think I had just gotten a Wii, so I was into that. But I had a friend that had gotten a 360, and me and a couple other friends were like, okay, let's go over to her house and play her 360. It'd be fun. And she had gotten Left 4 Dead, and we were all super hyped to go over and play it. Left 4 Dead on 360. Valve was funny that the orange box came out on 360 and then PS3, but it ran like shit on PS3.
Mm.
And then they kind of didn't really give the PS3 much attention until I think maybe Portal 2 got a PS3 release, but most of the releases only went to 360. And Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 were only on 360 for console. So I remember being like, "Oh, cool, a new Xbox and like a new zombie game. Yeah, I'll go check that out." And I remember going over there, and we ended up playing the first mode we ever played was the one where you control the zombies. Like one person controls
Mm.
the zombies, and the players plays the survivors. And we had a fucking blast. Like it was so fun. I that was just like a really strong takeaway for me. It was like just how much like just like how there was this new console with like these at the time like spectacular graphics. I think we played that in, like Rock Band or something while I was over there. I guess like remember that was popular at that time. And we I the takeaway was like, okay, there's this new console, these new graphics, but like the games that I played were like very like arcadey and like multiplayer in nature. Like we
Mhm.
played Left 4 Dead, which is very arcade in nature, and also we played Rock Band, which is like basically like an arcade game.
Yeah.
So it was like it's just like these pure fun experiences. Um, and then eventually, when I did get my own 360, two of the first things I bought was Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 because I just like, okay, I for sure want to own these.
Yeah.
And I remember like cutting grass and like saving up money to get them.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, dog. Um, all right, we can just kind of go scroll through. I did post the wiki here that has the franchise wiki.
Yeah, I'm looking
Um,
at that.
it was funny. The other day we were talking about we the fact that we played Back for Blood. That was these guys. That was Turtle Rock.
Mhm.
Um, 'cause I remember talking to you about that. I remember not knowing if that was actually them. But I was looking through this and I was like, "Oh shit, that was actually them."
Yeah. Yeah, Back for Blood I
So that's
remember was that's how it was like marketed was like it's the the guys that brought you Left for Dead. They're making the game that Valve never let them make or whatever. And yeah, it's kind of sad because it means two things. I think Back for Blood means two things. It means that Left for Dead is not a system that can easily be recreated. Um, because in the current system, even when you look at that, it's like, well, those are the guys that made Left for Dead, and now they're like, how do we like more monetize this, or
yeah.
um, how do we? I don't- I personally liked Back for Blood. I liked that the idea of like those card systems. I think they could have been refined a little bit to be less complicated, but I like the idea of a randomizer attached to each level where you go, how do we make this level that is essentially the same level that you'll always play, but completely different from the last time you played it? And then it's just like, what if all the zombies exploded or something, or all the zombies did this, or now there's like 5 tanks in it instead of one. Just a random way to change it, and I think that is a really cool way to do it. I think they went a little far in like the characters themselves and try to add too much complexity to a game that is famously, like you said, very arcadey. But it's almost like they think like arcadey doesn't really sell in the modern day, which I'm not sure is true, but I think that's an opinion that they may have.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I mean, look at something like Among Us, right? Huge game, and that game's basically just
Hmm.
it's super basic.
Yeah, I
You
think
know, the fun comes from the multiplayer.
I think a lot of times in game development, complexity is mistaken for quality. And I don't
Yeah,
I think Back for Blood might be a good example of that, where it's just like it's not really true. But I did like Back for Blood, but it also shows that the other thing that's sad about that game is that you realize that yes, the people that made Left 4 Dead have left Valve, and maybe in some ways this is why we don't get as many like crazy good games out of Valve today. They just basically buy properties and then toy with them. I'm not gonna say shit on them, but toy with them. Like they bought Dota for whatever reason. Now they have Dota 2, and it's just Dota. I mean, it's good, but it's not really their own property, and it's just weird that they have it. So I don't know. I think Back for Blood, as much as I like the game, it's also like a depressing footnote in history as well.
yeah, yeah. The roguelike the elements, which was the card elements, I did think were neat, but yeah, it also just kind of felt like they had the idea to make a Left 4 Dead style game, right? And then they didn't really have an idea beyond that, so they were like, "Okay, well, let's just throw more stuff in, right?
Yeah,
Let's just try to let's just try to make it, I don't know, modernized in some ways." So it didn't really feel like they had a strong idea for like what a Left 4 Dead 3 potentially would even be, if that's what that was supposed to be.
yeah, yeah. I
It felt like they
agree.
were just making it for the sake of making it, you
Hmm.
know. And it was fine. I felt like it was a like what I remember having fun whenever we played co-op and stuff, and but I did feel like it was a little bit hollow. Oddly enough, the game with more stuff tacked on.
Yeah, it's like on the outset you think like Left 4 Dead with stats, and you go, I'd play that. That sounds good. Upon actually doing it, it, like you said, it's ironic that you kind of you play it once and you go, I don't think I'll ever play this again. Whereas Left 4 Dead, the series has almost nothing to it and has almost infinite replayability, despite them doing the opposite. So it's interesting that it turned out that way. It's clearly the opposite of the intention. I don't know. It's a weird way that your mind works on that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder what else they've made. Let me look through
You
their
said they made
history here.
Evolve, right?
I think so. Okay, so they did make the Xbox port of Counter Strike, which I did play. They made some other ports of Counter Strike. Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead. Yep, Evolve. That was them.
Yeah.
Um, some other Oculus games, and then Back
I
4 Blood. Yeah.
Side note on Evolve, and this is gonna go into weird territory, but I'm a D&D kind of guy, and
Mhm.
there's this guy who makes D&D videos, fantastic for back in the day. It's his name is Matt Corville, I think. If you ever want to know, like, get into D&D and like appreciate it from a beginner standpoint and learn some of the ins and outs, he is a fantastic uh like tutorial guy. Um, but he also reminded me of just how out of touch gaming developers are with their audience. And he was a story guy for Evolve. Like he was like the head story writer for Evolve, which should tell you everything you need to know about how out of touch gaming is. Where he would he would describe in length about how he had these meetings about the story and evolve, and how all the characters had to like have their place in the story, and what would this character do in this instance, and everything. And I'm listening to him talk about this, and a genius when it comes to D&D and talking about that. So I respect him. But I'm hearing him talk about this and I'm like, gamers do not give two shits about the story of your game. They don't care. Nobody cares. They just want to shoot things. Like, do you not understand? You putting all this time and effort and energy into this benefits nobody. Make the game fun and have a lot of shooting in it. Like, this is it. We don't care.
Well, y you have to, like, integrate the story into the game itself, like, into the way you design the characters and, like, the way you design, like, their what they do in the game, I think of, like, the not now because my god, but I think of the original release of Overwatch, where, again, there's basically nothing to it, it's just, like, a cast of colorful guys, and they're shooting each other in, like, arenas,
Mhm.
and somehow, like, they have, like, all of these characteristics and, like, lore now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, that spawned from basically nothing except for cool character design. I was like,
Well, I would argue that
you
Overwatch was never more popular than when it first released. Like, it was like,
no, no, that's what I said, like as I said, not now, because now they do lean into that stuff, and my god, get me out of here.
it's
But
I mean, we talked about before,
first one,
it's the alien syndrome. It's like the more that
yeah.
you know about these things, the less interesting it is. Like, tell me so almost nothing, and I'm happy. And I can put the story together, and you can give clues as to what might be going on in your world, but like,
Yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
That's it. Especially for, and I'm
I
talking
don't need to
specifically.
know Tracer's favorite color,
Right,
okay? I don't
right,
care.
right. And that's what makes like Left 4 Dead so genius is it is like in a zombie movie. Like, they even, treat it like it's a movie, but
Yeah.
that's it. Like, it's like the characters might say like an off comment every once in a while, like, "Oh, he looks sick" or whatever. But uh, in general, it's about shooting. And when people make like these other games, and like Overwatch or these other games where they're like, we have to have a good story, you really don't. In fact, a lot of the stories that they tell really detract from the game that I'm playing. I don't need it. I don't want it. The simplicity of Left 4 Dead is so important, and I think game developers today need to take note that we don't need your superfluous bullshit.
I I really love the opening cinematic for Left 4 Dead 2. Left 4 Dead 1 didn't really have it, but Left 4 Dead 2 had it to where they do give the characters in that. I think in Left 4 Dead 2, they have more characteristics in the first game.
Mhm.
Um, and they have that opening where it opens like a zombie movie, and it's like kill all sons of bitches. And then they're all like shooting the zombies and stuff. And then there's like a funny moment where like they're going up a flight of stairs, and coach is like, "Why did they put a evac thing up 35 flights of stairs?" And then Nick's like, "Just imagine there's chocolate at the top," or something,
Yeah.
or I forget what he says. It's like some funny quip, and then it does more montage, and then it's like some like Nick saying like, "I did not come this far to die," and then and then it's like, I don't know, it's just like a fun little thing, and then the game starts, and it's like, okay, like that told me nothing about the characters except for a few bits of dialogue from them. Like they all had a little moment of dialogue in that. And
Yeah.
it's like that's all I needed. Like now that I've heard that, I could just make the characters are what they are in my head. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
I have those versions of the characters, and that's all I need.
That's
I don't
all you
need to
need.
know more.
Yeah.
Left for Dead. Um, let me pull up the first game, I guess, because that's really where the development would be, right? So yeah, it does run off the source engine, which is not like I think every single Valve game ran off the fucking source engine. So so that's nothing new. Um, Plot, don't want that. Okay, so yeah, so Left 4 Dead actually started as a mod for Counter Strike Zero or Condition Zero, which I have played a little bit of Counter Strike, mainly with some friends, like in school. We had a we I might have told this story here before, but I took a computer plus hardware and software class for like 3 years in high school,
Mm.
and we had a class. We had a class server that we used for all of our assignments, and we went half the school year without our teacher knowing that we actually installed Counter Strike
I
and
remember this. Yeah.
And StarCraft 2 onto that school server. So we half the year we just spent playing Counter Strike and StarCraft 2 until he finally caught on that we were doing that. Like whenever he would come by, we would just close the window
That's
and
so
have the
badass, by the
assignments up.
way. That's so cool.
Yeah, it's like and like that was my last hour of the school day back then for like for all 3 years that I did it. Because that was like the only time that class ran. So yeah, it's like I would end my school day by playing Counter Strike with my friends in class. So funny.
Which,
So yeah, I did have a
by the
little.
way, that kind of shows that the class worked. Ironically,
Yeah.
it's like, we're gonna teach you about computers. It's like, well, we install the games on the back end of your server, and now we're just playing them. It's like, oh, okay, you get it. We'll just go do that then.
Yeah, basically. um. So yeah, so I did have a little bit of experience with Counter Strike, so it is cool to see that this was a mod, which it makes sense because again, all of the Valve shooter games kind of feel similar. The only one I don't have that much experience with is Team Fortress. I know people love that one, but it's like I think Half Life and Portal feel very similar, and I think Counter Strike and Left 4 Dead feel similar. With their mechanics and stuff. So that makes a lot of sense. So after that, so it's like they just got picked up as a full game, ran off the source engine. Um, I don't know. I'm not really seeing anything here in the development that's too noteworthy. Apparently, they did a lot of play testing to really get the I guess like the classes down right for the zombies and stuff. Which is something that I really liked about this game was like they both of the games have classes for the enemies that they don't feel like like when I think of classes and like a shooter like this, I think of like bullet sponges, in some games like Destiny or something. No, like the classes of zombies, like they aren't really bullet sponges, but they do feel imposing, you know. So whenever you're playing as a team and like you're like, oh shit, it's a witch or like it's a tank,
Yeah.
like it's like it needs everyone's immediate attention, So I always like that.
I think the game does such a fantastic job of making you feel overwhelmed, which is what all the movies tended to do. A good, like, that was their big appeal. Was like, it wasn't really a zombie movie until the wall got broken and then the zombies started flooding in. Like, that's when the real sense of dread occurred. And this game is that almost nonstop, which is cool. It's just that part of the zombie movie the whole way through, which is cool. You're always a little bit overwhelmed with what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, and the the way that the levels are kind of constructed in Left 4 Dead, everybody that like is listening to this has never played these games. Is that basically you pick a campaign to play through, which has like maybe 3 levels in like an ending section. And the 3 levels are basically like you're just trying to get through a certain area to a safe house. There'll be supplies along the way, and like I said, specialty, like special enemies, special infected that will try to stop you along with the regular zombies. But all in all, it's pretty manageable. Until you get to that last chapter or that last section where instead of getting to the safe house, you have to do something to like try to escape the scenario you're in,
Hmm.
and that's when like shit really hits the fan. Like it really feels like the stakes are like doubled in
Yeah,
those situations,
yeah,
which is great because again, it adds to the tension of the game.
yeah. I like those where it forces you to work together to to solve a problem. Like we had the instance where we had to fill a car with gas. Why this car needed 17 gallons of gas to get out of the mall, I don't know. But um, still, it was really cool to that it did that and forced us to be creative. We're throwing. You had the idea to like throw down the gas canisters instead of grabbing them one by one, which is smart. And one person's like shooting, clearing out the zombies while the other person's trying to fill it up. There's just a lot of that cooperation while still being like a scary zombie movie. Like that's what those movies do is they put these characters in, like, how do we get these characters to not just like hide out in a building? It's like, oh, we got to fill this thing with gas. Well, where do we get the gas? It's in the building across the street. Okay. That creates that tension of fear. And this game tries to do that while still being an arcadey like shooter, which I think it accomplishes really well. Very smart level design. Well, very smart scenario design. The level design, I think we were talking about it, kind of does remind me of that era where they weren't telling you where to go with anything, which is also bad. But sometimes the levels were a little bit obtuse where you don't really know. Like the level design isn't that smart yet where you automatically know where to go. It does require a little bit of like exploration and maybe backtracking and really trying to figure out, especially like the mall level where some of the areas look kind of samey and there's nothing like driving you one direction. And also a problem with it is that occasionally I think they'll just like flood areas with zombies where there was like no entrance or exit or possible way that they could get in. And so that level design concept of go where the enemies are doesn't quite fit here all the time, which is a distracting part. I think gaming design had evolved a little bit since this game.
Evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. Gaming design had gotten a little bit better since this game, and you can sort of see some of those holes where nowadays they're finding ways to push the gamers in the right direction that are smarter. Where this game doesn't have some of those. So in that way, it needs a little bit of polish, but in general, I still think the scenario design is really solid.
I do appreciate the fact that the contemporaries around 2008 would have been games like Call of Duty, Halo.
Right.
I'm trying to think of what other those games, especially Call of Duty. I don't know when Halo started doing it. Call of Duty especially was so bad about giving you the HUD radar and then like a red dot,
Yeah.
being like, okay, you're going over there. And I kind of appreciate this game for not doing that, for not just giving you like a little dot on a radar and being like, there's your next move,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So on that front, like I do think that was a good choice. But yeah, it just seems like some of the to be clear here, we didn't replay both of these for this episode. We have played them plenty, but just for this episode, we just did some co-op on Left 4 Dead 2 just to kind of like freshen up.
Mm-hmm.
And um yeah, it's like there were some areas, yeah, where it felt like there was a lack of direction with the flow of the level itself, and then we'd be like, okay, where do we go from here? Like, hold
Yeah.
on a second. Yeah.
And to be like
Uh,
to latch onto that, I would take that level of obtuse level design over the red dot, the red marker
exactly,
any day.
exactly.
Any day. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck the red dot. Get that out of
Yeah.
here. Like
I'll
it's the
explore
worst.
I would rather explore your level than just be told where to go. So I'll
Yeah,
take
yeah,
that's the
and
least the better of the poisons. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I do appreciate that because again, at this time, I think game developers especially were saw gamers as being such like cave dwellers that like they couldn't figure out where to go in these
Yeah.
games. So they'd be like, okay, here's your waypoint.
Right. Oh my
Here,
god, the
here's
waypoints.
here's your bread trail.
Because the other side of the coin, which we even talked about when we were playing, was Perfect Dark Zero, which is
Yeah,
like
yeah. Oh my
arrows
god.
on the ground / the walls, like literally brain dead, telling you where to go, which is not good.
Yeah, crazy to me. It's
Yeah,
just that game will always boggle my mind because I've played the original. I played the original Perfect Dark. It's
sure.
great. It has great level designs. And
Mm-hmm.
then I played Perfect Dark Zero, and it's like, okay, this has potential to be great. But then it's like whenever the ground's like you're going this way, and I'm like, okay, so when you were developing this, instead of being like, okay, this clearly isn't working, maybe we should shift gears and redesign some things, you were like, arrow.
Yeah.
It's problem solved.
Yeah, it's almost like they were like, how do we design these levels? Because that was a problem in Perfect Dark, was the areas were very obtuse and people would get lost, and I've been guilty of that. And so I understand where they were coming from, but they're like, how do we design these levels where people will know where to go? And then somebody was like, some genius, some genius in the development thing was like, hold on. And they're like, oh, wow, hey,
Wait a second. Wait a second. Who let Peter Molyneux in
yeah,
here?
yeah.
Get him out of the rare office. Get him out of here.
It's too late. He infected it. He infected everybody.
No. Well, I see. I have a bread trail for my game.
Yeah.
You know, my open world
Whoa.
RPG. Let's
Hey,
give you a bread trail.
how cool would that be? That's a video game, by the way. That is a cool game where the game is like you following somebody who's literally leaving a bread trail. That would be kind of clever. And like
Yeah.
the bread trail can end, and that's where you can like veer off and try to figure out where like what happened and then get back on it. But that would be kind of clever to have like a game of the bread trail.
I mean, just play Fable 2 or 3. It's literally on rails. You know, your open world RPG.
Yeah. Open world, yeah.
Bread trail.
You know, for Quest for the Worst, Fable 3 might be one that we should try.
Oh, I would love. I think I have it. I think I could like. I don't know. We could figure out how to rig that up or something where we could play it. But
Isn't
yeah.
it probably
Oh my
on
god.
is that on Game Pass or something?
Oh, it probably is on Game Pass, isn't it?
I could
Yeah.
try. We could see.
Yeah, probably.
Anything on Game Pass I could easily do.
God, I fucking hate that game.
What a nightmare.
God damn it. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, I think Left 4 Dead the level design could be better, but all in all, masterful game. I love this game. I love these games, I should say. So the original Left 4 Dead came out in November 13th of 2008. Good year. And it went gold, which means it sold a lot. It's not telling me how much. Apparently, it came out November 21st in Europe to coincide with the 10th anniversary of Half-Life, so that's kind of cute. I don't know. Got a bunch of DLC and stuff. There is something that I read here that reminded me of a certain time, which is why I don't entirely say like the 360 and PS3 is the start of like the monetization era. Um, it says a Game of the Year edition of Left 4 Dead was released on PC and Xbox 360 of May 12th, 2009, with updates and all new content included on the disc, which is something that I hadn't thought about in years. They used to do that for 360 games. They would give you the Game of the Year edition. I had one for, I think, for Mass Effect 1, where they would give you the main disc of the game, and then you would get a bonus disc, which you popped into your 360, and it would download all the DLC to your console.
Mm.
Which was insane. It's insane that like that exists. Like I could be like, yeah, see this? I own a physical copy of the DLC. Like
Yeah.
it's here.
That's
And like
like
that used to be a thing.
lazy. Isn't that kind of just lazy though?
Yeah,
I mean, I get
yeah,
that
but like
it's nice that they did
also
it.
it like preserves it. Like there's at
Oh,
some point
okay.
whenever I guess it's now, right? The 360 like servers are probably down, right? You can't buy that stuff now. Um, yeah, if you bought that version of Mass Effect 1, like you would still own all of that, and you could potentially just install it onto another console.
Mm. Yeah, that's a
Like
good point.
I don't
Yeah.
know, kind of cool.
That
So
makes sense. Yeah.
they don't do that anymore. Now it's like now it's the opposite. Now you get a disc and nothing's on
That's true.
it.
100%.
You gotta download it.
Pick your poison on that
Cute.
one. Yikes.
Yeah. We can talk about the references later. There's a bunch of references from both these games and like other media.
Mhm.
I'm gonna talk about the scores for Left 4 Dead 1. I'm not gonna go through this whole fucking paragraph here, but I'll just go through the scores. Metacritic gave it a 89 out of 100. 1up.com gave it an A minus. Edge. It feels weird doing this in like these publications actually being around when the game released. Usually, when we do this on Quest for the Worst, it's like after the fact. Um, Edge gave it a 9 out of 10. EGM an A. Eurogamer a 9 out of 10. Famitsu a 35 out of 40. Game Informer Game Informer a 9.25 out of 10. Just give it a fucking 10. Just give it a 10, Game Informer. God damn it. What is that? GameSpot gave it an 8.5 out of 10. GameSpy gave it a 4.5 out of 5. Giant Bomb gave it 4 stars. IGN gave it 9. Xbox Magazine 9.5. PC Gamer in the UK gave it a 93. Team Xbox gave it a 9.1, and XPlay gave it a 5 out of 5. Remember XPlay? Wow, I can't remember. I guess that was still around in 2008. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Great scores.
I think Left 4 Dead is the quintessential 9 out of 10 game. I can't think of a game where I would ever say like 9 out of 10 so easily as Left 4 Dead, just as a series. I don't think it's anybody's favorite game, but it's a game everybody loves. You know?
That's true. That's true. I don't know if it is anybody's favorite game, but if it is, let us know. And then it looks like the second game was much.
It's my favorite game. Who cares?
I want to. I couldn't even go through it. I was gonna laugh too much. I want to kiss Coach.
Coach is my favorite character.
I like Franklin.
I'm a Franklin guy. Yeah,
Right.
I like everybody.
I'm a Franklin guy.
Everybody who's got like their favorite character, they've like adopted certain personalities. I like that.
Yeah, fuck you. I like Zoe.
I'm trying to think of what the names are.
Of the first game. Well, it's the second game because we were playing that. I know it's Nick, Coach, Ellie, and the girl, Rochelle.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm a Rochelle guy.
I
like Rochelle.
I like Rochelle.
They're all just different.
Rochelle's my favorite. Yeah, I like Bill. I'm a Bill fan. Bill. Yeah, so the first one was Bill, Zoe, Lewis, and Francis. Not Franklin, it's Francis.
Franklin was what was Franklin?
The turtle.
Oh, the turtle.
Okay.
Sure.
You know,
not what I was thinking, but okay, we'll go with that.
I mean, he was. I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong, but you're not right. I'm just throwing that out.
Okay. Left 4 Dead 2 got Metacritic 89 out of 100, Destructoid 9.5, Edge a 9, Eurogamer 9, Game Informer 9.5, Game Revolution a B. What the fuck? GameSpot a 9, GameSpy 4.5 stars, Games Radar a 4.5 stars, IGN a 9, VideoGamer.com a 9. So yeah, it's another across the board, 9 out of 10 game. Which I agree with. I do think Left 4 Dead 2 is, again, I see them as like basically the same game. Like they don't feel that different. So I kind of consider them just two, like kind of like Kill Bill part, like part 1 and part 2, like volume 1, volume 2. I consider it to be like the same thing.
Well, and they came out
Left 4
pretty
Dead
quickly, right?
a year after, like a year right after. So they basically just took what they had done with the first game. It was like, okay, let's just make more of it.
Yeah.
But generally, I do think Left 4 Dead 2 is better. I do think that it has. I don't know why this matters, but I like the characters more. But also, it adds melee weapons, and I do think it has of the like campaign scenarios. I do think Left 4 Dead 2 has the better scenarios where they put you in the crazier situations. I remember the first game had some fun scenarios, but the first game kind of felt like you were going through like some pretty basic areas. Like the streets and the hospitals or whatever. The second game like throws you on a carnival and through a swamp, and it just feels like they get a little more creative with the environments in the second game. So I always appreciated that. But they're both one and the same. You shouldn't just play one of them. You should just play both of them. In fact, I I have a mod on Left 4 Dead 2 that just adds all the stuff from one end, so I can play both games on just the same install. So
Yeah.
that's what I would recommend. Um, what apparently what the fuck? Why is there a boycott?
A boycott of Left 4 Dead?
Oh yeah, look at the Left 4 Dead 2 Wikipedia article and go all the way down. There's a boycott section. I did not know this at all. The weekend following the game's announcement of the 2009 E3 convention, remember E3, some Left 4 Dead players called for a boycott of Left 4 Dead 2 and formed a Steam community called L4D2 Boycott No L4D2, which grew to over 10,000 members by the end of the weekend. It reached more than 37,000. But why?
Oh,
Why?
claiming that it should be kept as part of Left 4 Dead, claiming releasing a sequel would
Oh
split the
well, yeah.
community.
So yeah, I mean, that's a stupid thing to boycott, but like, I don't disagree with them. Like, it should have just been a just more, like an add-on or something. But at the same time, what a dumb thing. Remember when that was the least of our problems? No, they're releasing a sequel. Get
Well,
them.
well, I think it shows that the more things change, the more they stay the same. It's like it does bring up an interesting dilemma of if the game is basically the same thing as the first one, with like you just swap the characters and created new assets, but it's still the same game. Do you pay full price for a new game? That is an interesting dilemma.
Yeah,
Because like
true.
somebody could
That's
theoretically
true.
just mod it, the first one, and you would have Left for. It's basically just a mod, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
So I get what they're saying. I think history is now completely fine with it, which is maybe for the worst. Maybe that's a bad thing. Is that history's like, oh yeah, we're cool with that. I don't know. That's an interesting dilemma. I'd be curious what because I was never really a part of any of that, so I can't really speak to it. I wasn't there at the time. Um, but I wonder what people who went through that, maybe people that were part of that small boycott, thought of that, where they're at, where their heads are at right now, because that is interesting. It does kind of just feel like an expansion.
Valve Valve was forced to alternate its original cover art for the game, Left 4 Dead 2, by the ESRB. The original image depicted the series hand, the series hand. That sounds so weird to say, but it's like the iconic hand, um,
Glover.
with its little finger, ring finger, and thumb torn off. Little finger, you mean pinky finger? Which would thus have the index finger and middle finger remaining. It was deemed too explicit. What? And to appease the ESRB, Valve changed the image so that the fingers were merely bent back instead. But the company was still able to include the torn off thumb in all regions except for Japan and Germany, where it had to be censored. I know that was a thing because, like factory workers, especially in Japan, like are not like lose their thumbs. So like it's seen as like insensitive. Um,
Mm.
and
Maybe they shouldn't
apparently
be
the
so
cover was
clumsy.
yeah. How dare you work for mere I don't know what they have pennies. Yeah, I'm saying pennies. Mere pennies at the meat factory, 12 hours a day to support your family. And maybe you're just a little too tired from working 7 days that week, and you accidentally chop off your thumbs. That's your fault.
Get sleep. No excuses. Come on.
The cover was further changed for the release of the in the UK, as the two finger sign with the back of the hand was faced towards the viewer. It's considered an insult. What the what? The UK cover features the hand facing the opposite direction to avoid this. That's an insult. So like the hand facing towards the viewer like this is that's an insult in the UK, and this isn't. I don't understand.
Hey
What,
Terry.
what,
I don't know.
What, tell
Just
it. We just lost all. It's Terry as
yeah,
a
Terry
subscriber.
said, "I would not stand for this."
Oh my gosh, dude, there is more how much controversy is there with Left 4 Dead 2? Jesus, this is a whole section right here. Um,
Are you on
there's
the
that racism.
Wikipedia or which one are you?
Yeah, I'm on the
Okay.
Wikipedia, like at the bottom. I'm just going. I'm like cave diving right now, dude. It's just it's fucking it's getting crazy up in here. Racism accusations. Willie Jefferson of the Houston Chronicle, after seeing initial promotional material of the game, considered that several of the infected appeared to be African Americans employing a racist approach to the game, and also noticed that the setting in the game is a city that was seen to be dead with dead bodies floating by. I don't know. Some years after the impact of Hurricane Katrina, was a bad call. Okay, so I get it. It was like the location was, you know, I guess you could draw some weird. I don't know. Hurricane Katrina happened, and then they were like, "Well, you can't put a game here." I guess. Oh my gosh, I thought it was gonna be something about like coach or something, but no, that's it. Apparently, it's just because you can kill black people in the swamp. Okay.
We've all been there. Come on, let's move on.
Yeah, we've all been there. That was, you know, what's funny. I think that was also around the same time that Resident Evil 5 was getting that too, because you were shooting people in Africa. As a white dude, as a buff white dude. so, some racist zombie games around this
Living the
time.
dream.
Let's talk about the 2008 2009 racist zombie games. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then apparently it got banned in Australia and then unbanned. I hate this. I fucking hate this. I don't
Well,
want to read all of
Australia is
this.
notoriously a very censored country. They have like very high censorship.
Do they?
Yeah.
Apparently, Germany as well. I know Germany is.
And then
Uh,
China, like a lot of these didn't get released in China, I'm sure, but or one of those countries, I can't remember which one, but one of them you're not allowed to show skeletons, which makes
mm.
for a lot of creative decisions that go into gaming. I can't remember which one, but you're not allowed to show skeletons. Like a lot of our media, their skeletons are like, especially like very prominent. And
Yeah.
I know in like League of Legends, there's a character named Karthus who's basically just a walking skeleton, and I think in China or something like he's completely redone just for that country. It's weird. It's like a weird like
It's
yeah, just how you
it's so weird anyway, just talking about like the difference between like, you know, the US and other regions when it comes to like violence and then sex.
yeah.
Because here it's like you can show whatever you want violence wise. You can show somebody getting their nuts ripped off and stuffed in their mouth and chewing them up. You know, it's like it doesn't matter.
When do you
But then
not
like
see
you
it?
show, but then you show a tit and it's like, whoa, whoa, hey,
Yeah. Yeah.
knock it off. you
Yeah, we're just
know.
yeah, no, there I mean
but
there are
but
we
then in like other but then like in like other countries it's the opposite. It's like a lot of the violence is censored, but then like a lot of this more sexual content they're like, yeah, whatever,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
It's very and it's good that we don't have we're trying not to have blinders on it, because it would be very easy to be like in America we can see everything, but it's really not. Like I know that in Japan I think the age of consent is like 16 or 15, or I don't know. I hesitate to go lower, but I suspect it is.
don't act like you don't know, Spencer.
I just know for sure it's at least 16, which is
This is a part of the show where Spencer starts sweating.
yeah. But no. What I'm saying the opposite is that we're a little bit more conservative here in America, where
Yeah,
we're not as comfortable with that, and so yeah, like a lot of animes and stuff, I'm sure are affected by us not really liking the idea of some of those things appearing
yeah.
in our
Well,
media.
and also the opposite is it happens. Oddly enough, we're not talking. I mean, how did we get here? But the we both played it. The original No More Heroes was
Yeah,
like very like blood centric, right?
yeah.
It's a very blood centric game. Like you chop people up, they explode into coins and blood. But in like Europe and Japan, that they didn't do that. They just whenever Travis would kill somebody, they just like puffed into like black smoke
I didn't
and
know
like
that.
He's got yeah. So like they were highly censored over there for those games. So yeah, it's like even a game that came out of Japan was like highly censored everywhere but here.
That's funny. It's
So
like a Japanese game made specifically for America.
yeah.
like because that game specifically, I would argue, is just an entirely American sensibility type of game.
Oh yeah. I
That's
mean, it
so
takes place in
funny
California.
that it would
It
happen
has
that
like
way.
the humor is very like American. Like it's very hard to find like the Japanese elements in that game, and when you do find it, it's more than likely making fun of it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's funny. I never thought of it that way, but I guess if that's true, that's
yeah.
crazy.
All right. There was a bunch of DLC chapters made for the games. So that's cool. You can find them on. They're all on Steam. You can get them all for free on like patches and stuff or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah, there was like it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 DLC chapters across Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 that you can get. So if you're playing all these games all together, that's a lot of content. Um, there have been some crossovers. Apparently, there was a Mercenaries crossover with Resident Evil 6 on PC with
Whew.
Left 4 Dead 2 stuff. That's very funny. Some kind of a Pixel Forest downloadable indie game had some Left 4 Dead stuff in it that looked like an NES game. Left 4 Dead Survivors. I actually knew about this. So there's actually 3. This is the Lost Left 4 Dead game. This is an official Left 4 Dead game made only for Japan. It was produced for arcades in 2014 by Taito. And yeah, it is a unique Left 4 Dead experience for Japanese arcades. They have 4 new survivors, but I think it reuses a lot of the content from Left 4 Dead 2.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's like you would have like four of the like the cabinet setups. I think they use keyboard and mouse, but like 4 of the cabinet setups side by side, and you could play with people in an arcade. So like that's cute.
That's neat.
Um, yeah, it is neat. Payday and Payday 2 apparently have Left 4 Dead stuff in it. Zombie Army Trilogy, which actually I have played that one, had some Left 4 Dead, had all the Left 4 Dead survivors in it as playable characters,
What's Zombie
and
Armor Trilogy?
also
What is it?
Zombie Army Trilogy.
Army Trilogy? What is that?
It's yeah, it's by Rebellion. It's a zombie game.
Just kind of like a Left 4 Dead
You know,
kind of thing, or
yeah, kind of like that kind of game. You know Rebellion. I think they did like those
mm,
Sniper Elite games and stuff.
never played one.
What else did they do? Hold on. Rebellion. Where's their games at? Trying to think of something in there you would know. Midnight Club? No. Uh,
Midnight. I thought that was Rockstar. They developed it.
yeah, they
Rockstar
developed it.
published it.
Sniper Elite games, Zombie Army game. Yeah, basically they've just been doing Zombie Army and Sniper Elite games for years now.
Oh.
That's what they do. Oh shit! They made Never Dead. Game sucked. All right, back to this. And then more recently, of course, Dead by Daylight has everybody in it, so it's got to have Left 4 Dead stuff in it as well. So I think you can actually get Francis, or no, it's Bill. You get Bill whenever you start playing the base version of Dead by Daylight now. Which I actually played some of that recently. I had some friends that were playing a lot of Dead by Daylight, and when I got the PS5 and they saw that I had PS5 and Plus, they were like, "Hey, you want to play some Dead by Daylight with us?" And I was like, "Okay." I had it on my Plus catalog already, so I was like, "Sure, whatever, I'll download it and play."
How was
So
it?
I was playing some. It was fine. I was playing. I'll explain that in a second. But yeah, but I was playing some with them, and I noticed that like there's literally everybody's in that game now, like everybody. And I did play as Bill for a little bit. I quickly I didn't want to spend too much money, but I did want to like at least buy a character that I actually cared about.
Yeah.
So I bought Alan Wake from
Oh,
Alan
cool.
Wake 2, and I played as him. Yeah, because I love Alan Wake, so I was like, cool. I mean, Alan Wake 2 is literally like my favorite horror game, so I was like, yeah, I want that. It was fun. That's a fun multiplayer game. I think, but it's like it's kind of in some ways the opposite of Left 4 Dead, where it's like the first time you play, you don't really understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Like you have to play with people to learn the mechanics of the game. Um, but after I played a few rounds, I was able to pick it up and like understand what I had to do. As mainly I played as the survivors. I didn't play as the killers. And I understood what I had to do to like work with my team to survive. And it was cool. There's a lot of characters you could play as across like franchise. I mean, I mean, Resident Evil, Left 4 Dead, Silent Hill, Stranger Things. It's like everything's in this fucking
Wow.
game. And then along with the killers as well, all the famous slasher movie killers, of course, are in there. You're gonna have like Michael Myers and
What
Ghostface and whoever else, fucking Jigsaw. You
what's
know,
the term for that kind of horror game, or not horror game, but multiplayer game?
it's like asymmetrical,
Asymmetrical.
right?
That yeah, asymmetrical
Yeah, where like one
games.
player plays as the killer. I had the most surreal moment of my life though, playing that game,
Oh,
where I had like an out of body experience for a second. We were playing, and I was playing as Alan Wake from Alan Wake 2, and we were in a map that was, I don't know if you've seen Stranger Things, right?
yeah,
I assume.
yeah.
The first season when they go to that like lab under Hawkins,
Hmm.
that's like lab facility. That was the map. So it's that lab recreated as a
Oh, that's
map,
neat.
and you're trying to start these generators. So I'm already running around as Alan Wake in this Hawkins lab from Stranger Things, which is already so weird. And then I'm getting stalked by a player who's playing as Pyramid Head from Silent Hill,
Okay.
and I just started to like disassociate because it's just too much.
Yeah,
it's,
that's like
it's just like my brain could not like put these elements together.
I guess Dead by
It's
Daylight is like the horror Super Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah, that most definitely. I mean, and there's like characters from like D&D and characters from like a bunch of other like horror movies and stuff I've already seen. You can play as fucking Ash from Ash versus Evil Dead. So it's
Oh,
like just like I'm like, God damn! Like they just put everything in this game. Like I would like no wonder it still has a player base.
yeah, yeah.
Because it's like if you're a horror fan, like this is all you got.
True.
Everyone's here.
Yeah. Smart. That's
So
smart.
yeah. Um, apparently there were some Left 4 Dead comics. I've never read them, but you know what? I would actually be. It's a okay. It was a web comic. It was a 4-part web comic. That's why I thought it was like an actual comic. That sucks. Um, within Left 4 Dead 2, there's a fictional rock band called Midnight Riders. We played their level at their concert. Apparently, there's some kind of like there were songs on Rock Band you could download from Midnight Riders, like 2 songs. So that's cute. Um, I said, hey, it ties back in with Rock Band from earlier. I was talking about Rock Band.
Yeah.
And it looks like there was a canceled sequel. Apparently, there were rumors throughout 2013 to 2016 that led players to believe Valve was developing Left 4 Dead 3. I remember that time period. Um, and it turns out that was true. It turns out after Half-Life Alex came out in 2020, or it looks like, that yeah, they were working on Left 4 Dead 3, and it didn't happen, obviously.
Yeah. It's a bummer.
I don't think we've ever seen anything else about it. I would like to see what they were going for with it and why it was canceled. Sometimes I know it's like easy to look at game cancellations like this and be like, damn, like bummer. But sometimes after you find out what it was, you're like, okay, good. Like that's
Yeah.
what happened with the Last of Us, because originally before the first Last of Us, they were going to do another Jack game, and then they decided to do The Last of Us because they didn't like the direction they were going in. And then
Hmm.
years later, they released the concept, and like the concept art is like really realistic, and like Baxter looks like a little weasel guy, and like Jack looks like a human, and I was like, okay, good. I'm glad they didn't do that. I'm glad they went with what they did.
Yeah.
So like it could very much be the same thing. Maybe they were just developing it, and it didn't feel like Left 4 Dead or something, and they decided to scrap the project. Who knows?
Mm.
And of course, we all know where that went. Turtle Rock did Back for Blood. So yeah, that's basically it
Well,
for all the little trivia.
do we? What do you want to do from here? Do we just talk about the game, or do we? We kind of did a lot. We already talked about the game. It's not, you know.
Yeah, we can just talk about like we like I said we played some co-op on Left 4 Dead 2. Is there anything that really like stood out to you we were playing recently? I mean, and you already talked about like the level design,
Yeah.
not really flowing.
Um. despite being a relatively old game, I think it still looks pretty good. Uh, the controls are arcadey. It's almost like an antithesis to Halo, where Halo is more. It feels more slow, um, and tight. Left 4 Dead feels pretty loose and fast. I don't know where I prefer. It's probably somewhere in the middle. Um, but I appreciated the simplicity of the controls. There's no aim down sight unless you're using certain guns, and it. Um, but in general, there's not really, or maybe I missed it, but I didn't see an aim down sight. Um, I did. I think I did for the sniper or for the rifle. Uh, I don't know. There's not a whole lot more to say about it. It's just it is what it is, and I think that's what I like about it. What did you take away from our co-op experience?
Yeah, like you said, it's a very pure game.
Yeah,
It's just uh some things of note that I think that I noticed were the enemy, that not the enemy, but the partner AI. If because we just played us, so we had two. We you played as Nick and I played as Ellie, so we had a coach and Rochelle as AI.
yeah,
And I noticed that like the AI is okay. I feel like they do support you pretty well. Like there were moments where we would split off, and I noticed that like they would each kind of like tag along with one of us and stuff. But and whenever you could tell like the way that it's programmed though is that like whenever a player specifically falls in combat and the way they be pulled up, the both of the AI will just drop everything they're doing at that moment, no matter how far away they are, and come to like save your ass. Which I guess kind of like has to be designed that way, for if you're playing like alone. Because I'm pretty sure. I mean, for one, if you're playing Left 4 Dead by yourself, you might just want to give up. Like on life. But also,
Ouch. Okay, yeah,
but also, I get why it's designed that way because yeah, because if you're playing by yourself, like you need the support of the AI. But at times it felt like overkill. Like where I remember there's one moment where like I accidentally slipped off like a window seal and I need somebody to pull me up. And then I watched like you guys were like down at the bottom of this building and I was at the top. And I watched as both Rochelle and Coach like both left you and then ran all the both of them ran all the way up this building to pull me up. And I'm like,
yeah.
okay, well, I only needed one of them, and like you still needed support down there. But it seems like after I was like stuck, they were like I was their top priority, you know.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I do want to. That's a good. I'm glad you brought up the AI. It is pretty good AI considering where what time it came from. That's
Mhm.
also pretty impressive that they were able to make AI counterparts that, for the most part, did not annoy you. That's pretty cool. Because I think a lot of AI at the time was not as
Yeah,
good. They didn't really get
yeah,
stuck
they do
behind
a pretty good
anything.
job.
They did. They
No,
helped
whenever
you.
you're out of here, well, and something I liked as well was that like if you're hurt and you have a healing item, like they won't help you. But if you're out of healing items, they will heal you.
Yeah.
They'll use their healing items for you, which is nice. Like you know, it's clearly like some thought was put into that. So
Yeah, and it's funny. Like, so I remember with Rochelle specifically. I was low and I didn't have a healing item, and I'm just kind of making my way through it. And then I would see like this weird like meter below me, and then I would just keep walking, and then eventually she would go, "Hey, could you like slow down for a second while I heal you?" I like that touch where it's like I'm like, oh yeah, that's I'm not used to that. I'm not used to AI being that attentive. It's cool.
something else I noticed that I really appreciated was so whenever you get to a safe house, obviously that's like the beginning and start of a level.
Yeah,
You do have like a supply of ammo and guns you can choose, and every now and again you'll find some guns or some ammo laying around, but it's not too common. And I also appreciated that because there were moments of scarcity, which I think worked in the game's favor, where it does put you on edge a little more, where
yeah,
you're like realizing like, oh shit, I'm almost out of bullets for my shotgun, and all I have with me is this like shovel, and like I'm gonna have to like use that to like get my to like fight my way through here.
yeah,
Um, and I appreciate that, especially because I know at this time, a lot of the games coming out, I think of like Gears of War, where like you go into like a room and there's a bunch of chest high walls, and then there's automatically like boxes for refilling your ammo, and it never feels like you were ever going to run out of ammo. It always felt like you just
Yeah.
always had it. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that like this wasn't the same way. Like I didn't constantly find piles of ammo everywhere.
And
Like
by
it
the
felt
way,
like
and I think it kind of works for Gears of War. I think that's
it
kind of the
no, it
point.
does. Nothing against Gears of War, but I was just saying like
Yeah.
that was just the style
Right. Right.
at the time, and I'm glad that this went against that.
Yeah.
And whatever you did find, like if it wasn't in the safe house, when you did find a random stash of ammo, it really felt like oh my god, thank you, like moment, you
Yeah.
know?
And God, game design wise, they had it paced perfectly. Like they knew like exactly how much ammo. Because I remember there were moments where I ran out of ammo, and then maybe like 30 seconds later, it was like, oh, here's a stash. It's crazy. Just like they have it timed so perfectly. Almost like a
Yeah.
Google, like when Google Maps tells you when you'll arrive someplace and you're like, that can't be right. And then it's literally like to the minute. That's Valve figuring out just how much ammo you're about to spend.
It. I also noticed that like sometimes when you play a shooter like this, I'm thinking of like Halo. It's easy to be like, well, I'm just going to stick with this gun. Like this is clearly the best gun. No, it felt like all the guns were pretty viable
Yeah.
for this game as well. I didn't feel like there was any gun that I was stuck with, and I was like, damn it. Like I felt
Hmm.
like I could make do
Yeah.
with every weapon that I used. So that
Yeah.
was nice.
I think one thing that Back for Blood did that I think this game, if they were to make a Left 4 Dead 3, that I would take from Back for Blood was not. I think what essentially I would look for is a gun makes you a class, and
Hmm.
it would be helpful to the team for you to have a shotgun and then another person have a sniper. Like whereas this game, I don't think it really mattered. Like you're just blowing away zombies at the end of the day. So it doesn't really matter. I kind of do like the idea of like different like a team having a composition and making it matter in the
Like
level
like
design.
like a class loadout system or something like that.
Yeah, not to be too complicated, but just to be like this level designed where there's an area where a sniper is useful, and there's an area where a guy with a shotgun is useful, and there's an area where a guy with a flamethrower or something is useful, or whatever. But the level design to be more. Whereas this was more zombies are coming, pick a gun and just start blasting. And I don't think there's a
Yeah.
problem with that. But I think if they were
It's
to make a third
this
one,
this game is the epitome of the Always Sunny clip, right? It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
so do we. Shoot, I started blasting.
yeah, and I think that's fine.
That's me every level.
Yeah, and
I started blasting.
I think that's fine. But I do like the idea of more of like a team oriented
There
system. I think Back for Blood went a
there
little too
is
far with it, but I think I like the idea of it.
I do like the fact that there is some strategy though in this game. You can definitely take advantage of certain elements in the environment. Like you
Yeah.
can take advantage of car alarms. I love taking advantage of pipe bombs. If I saw an area that with a particularly crowded area, I would like to throw out the pipe bombs because they had like a flashing thing, like a legal beacon, and they would flash faster, and the zombies would like go towards it and then all explode. So like and there are little things like that in the environment that like you can take advantage of to like
Yeah.
have some more strategical moments. So I did enjoy that.
Hmm. Yeah, if I were to make a third one, or somebody were to make a third one, Valve, I would say emphasize that.
Just no, just you, just
Just
Spencer.
me? Okay. Well, Lord knows what's going to come
If
out,
you were
but
to make a third one, like you're
yeah,
just like you're like locked in your house and making Left 4 Dead 3.
I don't know how to do any of this, but we're going to do it.
And just
Um,
your girlfriend like knocks on the door. She's like, "Honey, are you okay in there?" She like opens the door. It's like pitch black in your room. There's just like the glow of a computer screen
yeah, there's a
on your
glow of a
face, and you
computer
have like
screen,
a
and
big.
she like turns the monitor to see it, and it's like it's The Shining, where she reads what he's been writing all day. It's literally just a stick figure with the guy with the gun shooting.
Yeah, it's like MS Paint.
Yeah. It's like I've been in my room for 3 weeks, and this is what I've come up with. this this monitor will give me a window into his madness. It's like Left for Dead 3, and it's just that.
All right, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
No, yeah, well,
If
yeah.
they
If
were
I
to make Left 4 Dead
if
3.
they were to make it, I would say emphasize those moments where strategy comes into play.
Mm.
Really bring that to the
Yeah,
forefront.
but you also can't like telegraph them too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
hmm What I
you
would say
can't
is
walk into an area
probably,
and be like, "Well, I have to use this here, obviously."
and the
Yeah.
way that I think you do that is you limit ammo a little bit more, and just alter the level design a little bit where you can make those moments shine. Yeah, but it's a
One of the
balancing act. It's a
coolest
balancing act.
one of the coolest things I think about Left 4 Dead is the fact that at the time, again, the shooters were really at, I don't want to say they were at their peak, but you know, they were, I guess maybe peak in popularity
Yeah.
around this time period. Obviously, like Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, fucking, I don't know what else was coming out. Rogue Warrior with that douchebag. I don't know what the hell's happening. A bunch of games coming out. They're all shooters. Um, Rogue Warrior is a deep cut. Is that Mickey Rourke? I think. Anyway, bunch of games are coming out, and they're all shooters and very popular. But also, it seemed like they were a little bit hard to get into for like the casual market.
hmm
Because I feel like okay, I want to play Call of Duty. You load up more Modern Warfare 2 and go online and immediately get like sniped in the face, and it'd be like, well, okay, it seemed like there was a high bar for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
I always appreciated Left 4 Dead because it did always feel like anybody could really play it. It felt like it was really accessible, and like I've played this game with people that were not into first person shooters that really had a fun time playing it, and we were able to like make it through, and you felt like you really survived the scenarios you were in. Uh, that's something I always really appreciated about this game
Yeah.
was just like it felt like the bar for entry was lower than most FPS games.
I agree, and I think they need to, if they were to make another one, they should capitalize on that. Keep that in the forefront of pick up and play. Like it should just be a pick up
Yeah,
and play kind of game. Yeah.
yeah. Um, Spencer, if you this is my final question of the episode. If
Okay.
you had to create, okay, it's 2008, and you're working at Valve. Gabe Newell just clomped past your office because he clomps down the hallway. That's how he walks.
Yeah.
And you're at your desk, and he peeks his head. He goes, "Hey, Spencer," and you go, "Yes, Mister Newell," and he says, "We got that Left 4 Dead game coming out in a couple months. I need for you to make a Subway promotional meal tie-in. Uh,
Mm.
Spencer, what is your Left 4 Dead Subway promotional meal tie-in gonna look like?"
It would emphasize the 4. So I think I would emphasize that it's Left 4 Dead is supposed to be played multiplayer, and 4. So I would say 4 subs, but we only use expired meats because that's like what
Oh,
zombies
zombies.
would be.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's 4 subs for $4. The catch being that all the meat is expired. That's what I would have done.
yeah. It's like a month old.
Yeah,
It's been sitting out for a month
yeah, in the sun, like they put it on the
in the
roof,
sun.
and like this has been overcooked on the roof for a month, and now you can enjoy it with 3 of your friends. 4
And
subs for
one large
$4.
drink.
Yeah, and 1 large drink of piss that the artisan creates for you. That's the subway deal for you.
Wait, don't we get a drink with this? All right, hold on.
Yeah, he's like he comes into work that day and there's like a line of people wearing Valve t-shirts and you're like, "Oh shit." And then you just start chugging water.
Yeah, he's got like one of those the big jugs of water you use for like the things,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whatever. He's like, "Guh, guh."
Yeah. What would your Okay, I'm going to give you that question, but instead of Subway, it's Arby's.
Ooh, the Left 4 Dead. See, I think Arby's has a little more class than Subway, and people may want to fight me on
Okay.
that. I think it's,
A
but
war. If it's a
I think
war you
it's
want, it's
true.
a
I
war
think
you're
it's
gonna
true.
get.
The what is the Arby's Left 4 Dead combo look like? Well, it wouldn't be an Arby's sandwich without just an absurd amount of roast beef. So we can't get rid of that, right? You
Okay.
have to have roast beef. But I think we really want to play up the violence though. So I think we're just gonna, like the Arby's sauce is already red. I think we're just gonna douse like a gallon of Arby's sauce on each sandwich, so it's just
Mm.
covered in like red goop.
Yeah.
So it looks so like it looks like a bloody roast beef sandwich, um, on like a let's do like a special kind of roll, not the regular Arby's roll. Let's do like it's kind of like pumpernickel roll, like something darker.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like yeah, and then you're gonna get it served with mozzarella sticks, but that have been left in the fryer a little too long, so they busted. So they're like all
Ooh.
over the box. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And a Coke Zero because I don't know. We need to get rid of our supply of Coke Zero. So
Now was Coke Zero around in 2008?
I don't know when did Coke. I feel like it was. When was? Let's go. Whatever happened to an episode. Um, when did Coke Zero come out? Let's find out. It's loading. 2005.
Oh, okay.
So yes, Coke Zero was out in 2008.
But they wouldn't be trying to get rid of it. It's new. It's the new thing.
Not then. No, I feel like now I see places all the time giving like Coke Zero away with stuff. So I feel like now they're trying to get rid of it.
You're forward.
Okay, so I'm forward thinking. Yeah.
Like,
I am from the future. That's why Gabe Newell hired me.
trust me, these guys, they're not gonna want this later. Just get rid of this Coke Zero shit.
Coke that tastes a little worse. I don't think it's gonna sell.
It's Coke, but worse.
Tastes a little off. Yeah. Hey, you ever want to drink Coke, but like also like it just tastes a little worse than Coke? There you go.
Do we have the product?
There's no sugar in it. There's no sugar in it. I mean, yeah, but why are you even drinking Coke?
Yeah.
If you don't want the sugar in your Coke, then just don't drink Coke. Just don't drink soda.
Yeah. You're done. It's over.
I hate when I see like old people that only drink like Diet Coke.
Yeah.
I'm like, just don't drink it.
Yeah. Well, apparently, like the aspartame or whatever in that shit is
it's worse.
Worse. Yeah.
Yeah, it's worse than sugar. But still, it's like if you're worried about if you're that worried about okay, Diet Coke drinkers, listen up because I'm talking to you.
Damn.
If you're worried about your if you're that worried about your fucking health, but you're still drinking Diet Coke, you're not worried about your health.
You're not worried enough.
You're just you want to be perceived like you're worried about your health. That's what Diet Coke drinkers are.
Oh, it's perception. Perception is reality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think everybody that drinks a diet soda, they're just the wake up call should be that their foot gets removed from diabetes. And then they're like, I know what I was doing. I was
but it's 1910 and we're using a hacksaw.
Yeah. No, you don't get like fancy. You're taking a swig of whiskey and then we're putting a piece of bark in your mouth, and we're just cutting that shit off.
Yeah, we got two lumberjacks on either side, and we're going back and forth on that boy.
Because you haven't been trained to feel pain, and that's the problem. Is you've lived in a society where you're being protected from pain, and this is what happened. Is you now have to get your leg cut off from diabetes. This is gonna hurt, and this is gonna make you change the way that life proceeds from this point on, because you're gonna remember this pain.
Well, you know what they say, Spencer?
What do they say?
We live in a society.
What do they say?
We live in a society.
Yeah, that's true. They say we live in this. Yeah. So, no, I 100% agree. Yeah, diet, anything, or it's just you're really just masking it. And it was funny too is when people order that, it's always with, because people don't understand dieting very well because they think like,
Mhm.
oh, I'll get like fries and a burger, but then I'll have a diet coke just because I'm watching my weight.
I'm like, okay. I'll have the grease and the fat and the grease and the fat.
Yeah, and then I think
With
I'll
a
just do
side of
aspartame. Yeah,
with a side of aspartame. Thank you.
yeah.
I never priced my Arby's meal $25.
There you go. Got it. You got to end on that. Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's Arby's.
it's a little higher
It's, a,
end, right?
it's like top shelf fast food.
It's the
It's a little too much.
thinking man's drive through.
Yeah, it is. It is. You think how much money you're spending on the food.
Yeah, most places you go to, you think you're spending too much. At Arby's, you think you're spending not enough.
Yeah, you're like, I'm only paying $15 for this roast beef combo.
Doesn't seem
Only?
right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
How can I spend more?
I mean, they have the meats.
It's true. It's what I've heard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've heard tell that they have the meats.
They do.
Okay. Sure. I didn't know.
Thanks, all you gamers out there, and all you non-gamers. I don't want to.
No, I don't
don't
like
wanna
the
discriminate.
non-gamers. I'm
Okay,
standing tall against them.
okay. Stand tall. Walk tall against the non-gamers.
Yeah.
Okay, gamers only. Non-gamers, click off of the episode from this point. Well, hold on. Give them like 3 seconds.
To try to figure out how to do that. Like,
Yeah.
where do I click? Yeah.
Okay. All the non-gamers should be gone now. Any stragglers, you need to leave. This part is for gamers only. Thank you for listening to the episode.
Gamers only.
Gamers only. Should do a gamers only section in each episode.
Yeah.
Gamers only. Thanks for listening to the episode. Let us know what you think of Left 4 Dead, why you love it, why you hate it, why you're Terry. And leave us a comment. Leave us a subscribe. We didn't do any plugs today. Subscribe.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off camera.
Yeah, we don't do plugs. Whatever. I guess do whatever you want. Give us a like.
We just said we don't do plugs anymore. We're still doing them.
Text your mom. Well, hold on. I gotta do this plug though. I've already started. Text your mom. Okay. Wish her a good Saturday. This is the day this is getting uploaded. Is on a Saturday, and I'm assuming everyone's here the minute it gets uploaded to listen. Yeah. They're throfting at the mouth.
What they're doing? What?
They're throfting. Is it throfting? Is it throfting?
It's not even close.
Is it?
It's not even close.
Oh my god! What is this? What is this word? Frothing?
Frothing. With an
oh no! Throff is like on like a beverage. They're doing that too. They got a nice throfty root beer from Arby's
in their mouth.
Yes, they're drinking a root beer, a nice throfty root beer,
and then they are frothing that out of their mouth while they're listening.
Yeah, they're frothing it. We have a very specific audience.
Not a good one. They're not. This is not the audience you want.
What is it again? Frothing.
Frothing. Yeah.
That word is way too close to throfting.
I'm still not confident throfting is a word, but I'm going to look it up.
Look it up. I'm pretty sure that's like what you would like the foam on like a drink.
Search instead. When I say showing results for thrifting, and it says search instead for throfting. Yes. The only thing I see is an Urban Dictionary. When throfting milk for a latte, make sure you don't overheat it. The act of steaming milk for a latte.
Yeah, so it's like foam.
That ain't a real word. That's an Urban Dictionary. This is a word that you
created. It's a word.
It even
the
says
Urban Dictionary. No.
Created by Alex is what it says here.
What do you? what do you consider? Is there a word council that you consider to be the creator of all words, Spencer? Because the Urban Dictionary, for what I can tell, is still no, stop. Okay, language is anything you use to communicate with one
You
another.
communicated
And if
very
there's a
poorly.
fucking word, but you understood what I was saying. And if there's a
No.
word that no, stop. If there's a word in the if there's a word in the damn Urban Dictionary that communicates what you mean to another person, then it's a word.
Hashtag not my dictionary.
No, hashtag Wordgate. We're in it now. This is it.
You
Look,
can't make up a fucking word.
No. You can. If I made a sound, okay, stop. If I made a sound and you understood what that sound meant, right? If I just made up blah blah blah, blah and but like we understood that meant this, right? And I said it to you, even if it's not in the dictionary, that is human language, that is communication, and that's a fucking
Ladies and
word.
gentlemen, what you just learned is the difficulty that I've had on this podcast is that Alex speaks in onomatopoeia, and that makes it very, very difficult to communicate with the outside world. For some reason, he lives life as if
you're locked into
Alex.
this. You're locked into this dictionary word regime, and I'm not buying into it. Okay, I'm not buying into this shit. Okay, I don't need you telling me what are words and what aren't words. I know what words is. I know what they is.
Alex is more urban. I'm more Merriam-Webster. That's like we're the odd couple, I guess, in terms of words. But I like that Alex thinks of words as the things on the side of a comic book, like a panel, like next to an explosion. Yeah. He's more into that word as opposed to the ones in the bubbles where they're actually speaking.
Okay. Kaboom is an onomatopoeia.
Yeah.
And it's a word because you understand what it means.
Yeah, it's one of the ones that's a word. It's not. They're not always words. Like sometimes it's like rip. That's not a word with like 50.
Yeah, I know what that means.
You know what
I know what's going on there.
So yeah, the rest of us we know we understand what it means from a distance. But also, in this instance, you used the word "throft," and I did not know
this
what
episode.
You were talking about.
Fuck the Left 4 Dead episode. Let me know in the comments. Is throfting a word? I used it in the wrong context at first. Yes, I meant frothing. Is
you didn't even use throfting
a word
correctly in relates to Urban Dictionary because you said no. It's the act of steaming milk for a latte.
Which creates foam.
That has nothing to do with root beer or soda or anything that we were talking about.
Well, root beer is foamy. I don't know. I was trying to think of a foamy drink, and I don't know. I thought of root beer. I thought like a nice.
You are
out of your
glass
mind. Of root bear.
You are out of your mind. You don't know what you're talking about. You've invented a word and you invented it wrong.
I just poured myself a nice throfty glass of root beer.
Nice throfty glass.
I'm enjoying the episode. Okay.
Throfty. Okay. Well,
hashtag Wordgate 2025.
Yeah.
We're in it. This is real, and I'm not backing down to your Nazi word. You can't suppress me, Spencer.
And you know what? I respect you for that. I respect you for standing your ground. I think that's where we should end it. Is that I respect you.
Thanks for listening. What did that say?